Welcome to another explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely mind-blowing. We'll be looking at the sheer scale, the intricate details, and the frankly breathtaking beauty of the ultimate eternal destination as described in Islamic theology, Jannah. If you've ever wondered what awaits beyond this world according to the Quran and the Hadith, and how the smallest details of this life are said to literally build the next, well, you are in the exact right place. Let's get started.
Okay, let's dive into this. First, I want you to just imagine the absolute most beautiful place you've ever been. Picture the most stunning landscape, the clearest, bluest water, the absolute best meal you've ever eaten, and the greatest company you've ever kept. Got it? Hold on to that feeling of ultimate earthly perfection. Well, according to the descriptions of Jannah, that baseline you just pictured, it's absolutely nothing. It's not even a shadow of what's actually being described in the source texts. To even begin to wrap our heads around the scale of what we're talking about, just take the number 10. In Sahih Muslim, there's a fascinating hadith that states the person who enters Jannah last, meaning the individual who receives the absolute lowest rank possible, will be granted a kingdom 10 times the size of this entire world. 10 times our entire planet. That person is going to look around and think, surely no one has been given more than them, and yet they have the smallest share. It's a scale that is truly completely incomprehensible to us.
So this obviously brings us to a super compelling question. What exactly awaits in this eternal home? Well, the Prophet Muhammad explained that God has prepared what no eye has seen, no ear has heard, and no human heart has even conceived. Our earthly imaginations literally just cannot reach it, and yet the Prophet was given specific, breathtaking glimpses of this reality, which allows us to map out the details and understand exactly what believers are striving for. Let's look at the word itself. Jannah comes from the Arabic root Jannah, which means to cover or conceal. Why? Because its lush trees and thick vegetation completely cover the ground. But it's infinitely more than just a big garden. It's the eternal destination prepared for believers. The Quran describes it as spanning the widths of the entire heavens and the earth. With the realm of that immense scale completely ready and waiting, the text urges believers to literally race toward it, not just walk. And this brilliantly illustrates the entry points to that realm. The texts outline 8 magnificent gates into this eternal abode, and each one corresponds to a specific category of righteous deeds. You've got the gate of prayer, a rayyan, which is exclusively for those who fast, gates for charity, hajj, and get this, even a specific gate just for controlling anger. The highest ambition of a believer isn't to just slip through one of these doors. It's to excel in all these virtues so much that they are called to enter from every single gate.
Once you're actually inside, it's not just some flat, endless landscape. Islamic texts state that Jannah has 100 distinct levels, and the distance between each of those levels is like the distance between the heavens and the earth. People will look up at the levels above them the same way we look up at the stars at night. Because of this totally incomprehensible scale, the Prophet instructed believers to never be shy and to always pray for the absolute highest point, El-Firdaus. It sits directly beneath the throne of God, and it's the exact origin point where all the rivers of Jannah spring from.
Now, speaking of rivers, consider the stark contrast between earthly liquids and these eternal ones. In our world, water eventually becomes stagnant, milk sours, wine intoxicates, and honey needs to be filtered. But in Jannah, all those earthly flaws are completely removed. The water is eternally unspoiled. The milk never ever changes taste. The wine provides pure delight with zero intoxication or regret, and the honey is entirely purified. On top of that, the Prophet Muhammad was granted his own exclusive river, Al-Kawthar, which has banks of solid gold and silver, and water whiter than milk and sweeter than honey.
And these rivers flow through forests of literally mind-bending scale. We're talking about massive, thornless trees so huge that a fast rider could travel in their shade for 100 straight years and still not cross a single one. But the absolute climax of this landscape is the Sidrat al-Muntaha, the low tree of the utmost boundary. This tree marks the literal end of creation. It sits at the edge of the 7th heaven, completely covered in a divine light and a presence so extraordinary that it entirely defies human language.
So, what's it actually like to live there? Well, the menu is infinite. You get whatever your soul desires. But here's the truly fascinating part. Eating in Jannah is described as being purely for pleasure. It's not out of biological necessity. And because of that, there is zero bodily waste. Nothing. Everything is perfectly processed, leaving the body simply as a musk-scented belch. Even the drinks are sealed with pure musk, leaving you with no thirst, no headache, just absolute pure satisfaction.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the wild contrast between our worldly physical limits and this eternal reality. Here on Earth,
Gold is this rare status symbol, right? We constantly deal with aging and material boundaries. But in Jannah, the texts describe entire palaces built of solid gold and silver bricks, with mortar made out of musk. There are tents spanning 60 miles wide made from a single, hollowed-out pearl, dwellings so perfectly translucent you can see the inside from the outside. And the absolute most amazing part? These palaces are said to be built brick by the daily good deeds believers do right now, on earth. Construction literally pauses when you pause.
And the people living in these palaces, they all share one specific age, 33. In Jannah, every single person is permanently 33 years old. That's the absolute prime of human youth, vitality, and strength. The human physical form is totally perfected, hairless, beardless, and standing an incredible 60 cubits, or about 30 meters tall, mirroring the stature of Adam. Every single face radiates eternal happiness, completely and permanently free from illness, aging, and fatigue.
But you know, a beautiful home and perfect health kind of mean nothing without the people you love, right? This is where the deeply emotional aspect of Jannah truly shines. Believers are reunited with their descendants, their spouses, and their loved ones forever. Even if their deeds would normally place family members on completely different levels, the theology states that God elevates them so they can be together. Jannah is presented as this profoundly communal destination, where every relationship built on righteousness is restored, perfected, and never ever separated again.
This communal joy extends to something super unique, the Friday market. But there's no currency here. Nothing is bought or sold because everything is already provided. Instead, it's a massive weekly social gathering. And while the inhabitants mingle, a gentle north wind blows, scattering fragrance and actually increasing everyone's physical loveliness. When they return home, their families tell them they've grown even more beautiful, and they share that exact same compliment right back. In Jannah, beauty only ever increases.
Okay, I want to slow the pace down just a bit right here. Consider this incredibly profound quote. Death will be brought on the day of judgment in the form of a ram, and it will be slaughtered. This signifies the absolute ultimate relief for the believer, the permanent absence of sadness, of illness, of anxiety. It is the literal death of death itself. Once inside Jannah, believers are described as being truly, completely, and finally safe. There's no countdown, there's no expiry date, just pure, uninterrupted peace forever.
So, the crucial point is that all of this theology builds to an ultimate spiritual climax. You will see your Lord as you see the full moon, with no difficulty in seeing him. We've talked about rivers, translucent palaces, and eternal youth, but all of it completely fades compared to this. Seeing the Creator directly is described as a gift so profoundly overwhelming and satisfying that in that exact moment, the people of Jannah will instantly forget every single other blessing they have ever received. It really is the destination behind the destination.
So, who actually gets to experience all of this first? Well, the Prophet Muhammad will be the first to knock on the gates. But right behind him is this beautiful, deeply humbling reversal of worldly values. It's not the billionaires, the famous, or the worldly powerful who cross the threshold next. The texts tell us that the poor, the humble, the overlooked, the people who suffered and had absolutely no wealth to be held accountable for, they will enter Jannah a full 500 years before the wealthy.
All right, so how does someone actually earn this, according to the texts? The prophetic traditions give us a super practical, grounded checklist. A sincere declaration of faith, guarding the 5 daily prayers, praying the 12 voluntary rakats daily, reciting Ayat al-Kursi after prayer, displaying good character, building a masjid, and beautifully, even just giving up an argument when you know for a fact you are right. Remember, the currency of Jannah isn't money or status. It is sincere daily deeds.
Let's move to and see how this builds into actionable steps believers strive for today. Step 1. Make specific prayers for al-Firdaus by name. Step 2. Connect your daily deeds to their eternal results, reminding yourself that every prayer is literally another brick in an eternal palace. Step 3. Let these incredible descriptions vividly motivate your choices in moments of difficulty. And Step 4. Choose righteous companions who remind each other of this ultimate destination.
Which leaves us with a final, truly provocative question. What will you build for your eternal home today? To believers, this world is just a brief preparation, a path that is entirely worth walking when you see exactly where it is said to lead. Every sacrifice, every sincere prayer, every act of charity is seen as being recorded and transformed into something completely eternal. It's an awe-inspiring vision of the afterlife that continues to motivate millions of people today. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will see you next time.